Um, all right, so my son is 18 years old right now. When I started my freshman year, I started as an AP honors student with 6 activities to include JV softball, and I was in weightlifting to start off my sophomore year in winter track. I was on a very high sports academic type, person. I was in a bunch of clubs, student government, but during that time I dated one person. That person stayed with me until I was 22 years old. So when I lost my virginity that November, I felt really strange about my body, and I immediately knew that I was pregnant. But I'm also coming from a family that had high expectations of their children, predominantly me being the last child. They expected me to excel better than my older siblings. So there was a lot of pressure, but when I lost my virginity and I found out that I was pregnant that same week, I made plans to run away, because the idea of my family rejecting me was really harsh. I knew how they were. So I made it a point to tell the father of my son, which was my then boyfriend for a year, that I needed to run away because I already knew what the situation was going to be. When my mother found out that I was pregnant, she tried to force me to get married at 15 years old. I couldn't see myself getting married because I was also in the cusp of being first generation Hispanic and also trying to be as much of an American as possible. And, in the Hispanic culture, when you get pregnant, you get married. And I didn't want to, but I also had such strong acculturation that way that I almost abided in that manner. And one day in December, I'm getting off of the bus in a swarm of depression and rejection and just self-loathing. And I find my father in my driveway, and I had asked how he was doing. I greeted him accordingly. And he says, "Don't greet me in any way. My family and I have decided." Now, see the terminology, my family and I, there was a lot of possession in there. He had stated that they have decided that I am disowned from the family, as if we're Amish, right? And that there's no need to ever get in contact with anyone from that side of the family because they're going to reject you because you're a disgrace. Now we're going from being a straight A honor student, sports, academics, everything you would think of. I was also part of debate team, model Congress, mock trial. So I spent a lot of time in school. I spent a lot of time trying to be as excellent as I can be. And one night of trying something that I had no idea what I was doing got me pregnant. Meanwhile, being in an honors program, sometimes the students can be very harsh. So I'm getting rejected from my peers as well, because now we're really not the same. At that point, I just gave up. I made every attempt that I could, aside from getting into physical altercations, to get suspended and or expelled out of school, because I was trying to sabotage my life purposely because I self-loathe. The guidance counselor that was there looked at my previous academic record and activities record and stated that I am better than this, and she initially contacted the Impact program. Now, as any teenager that feels self-rejected and your own family's rejecting you, it was very difficult for me to initially trust staff and or my peers around me. So I was in my own little bubble, my little cocoon, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I looked at myself, and every day I would look at myself and I felt like I was a slob. I was disgusting. I was worthless. But what else was I to do? I'm a young Hispanic, almost about to be mother without an education. What else is there but working maybe in a factory, maybe the fields, being underpaid? And I really didn't know what to do. But the following year, I had my son August 26th. I went on the maternity leave and was gone for about 2 weeks, and I went into this program, not really knowing fully what was expected, who was going to be around me, nor did I care because my life was not worth caring for. I started the program. that year. And within 3 weeks after having the child is when I found out that the father of my son had been cheating on me. Now, I have no family. They're all rejecting me because I'm the one that got pregnant. I'm not the one that's going to be the cardiologist from Mount Laurel, or I'm not going to be the business owner because I'm now pregnant. I'm worthless. And had no family, and I find that out. And I'm coming into this program, and I hated everyone around me because I couldn't speak. I didn't say much about what was going on around me, but at that time, I had moved out my house my sophomore year, right before I had my son. And I had my own apartment with the father of my son, who was just graduating high school that year. He had his own thing going on. He had his own second life, and I had no other choice but to care for this child that's within me and now outside. I spent many nights not eating because I had no food. Because I was 15 and I was on my own, the Board of Social Services made it very difficult for me to obtain any type of food stamps, any type of government assistance. And I used to have to lie on my documentation in order for me to get WIC. It was, there were days in high school where I would eat whatever was whatever we had in the cafeteria, and I would store and save everything that I had and put it in the freezer and put in containers just so my son would have as much food as he can. And he was well fed, but I refused to eat for fear of not having anything. And so I'm going into this program not understanding who I am as a person, because everything that I thought that I was going to be was not. But impact. Impact isn't just a program that just helps somebody take care of a child. They help you understand the sociological aspect of caring for children. They help you understand the financial deficits that you can have and also how to budget. Then you have another aspect of it where they help you with understanding yourself, your self-worth. They take a holistic approach to helping each person individually. I remember at times they would send me to the counselor and I would just look at her and we just have a stare off. We'd have a 30-minute stare off because I was stubborn and I was not going to talk to anybody because I feared more rejection if they knew really what was going on. And I can remember my son getting sick one time. And obviously the father of my son's cheating, so it's very difficult to get in contact with him at times, right? He's a little busy. I can remember my son getting sick. And I don't know what to do. I'm 16. I mean, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? I can't leave the high school. Guess what? The security guard says, I'll drop you off over there and I'll make sure everything's fine. I go over there and they teach me how to speak to the medical specialists. And the right terminology to speak to these people so they understand that I need to advocate for my son. Through them, I learned how to be an advocate for my own child, hence being an advocate for other people. We'll get there later. So I actually still have my Christmas tree that I got December 14th of 2002.
Aww.
At 5:20 in the evening. Why do I remember that? Because a really bubbly, kooky lady knocked on my door, waving her big old hand. Hey! And I thought, I'm a reject. I am nothing. And I'm broke and I'm poor and I'm always going to be uneducated, poor, rejected female. And my dad doesn't love me and the father of my son can't respect me and my mother pushed me out. Why is a stranger at my door bearing gifts? And I stayed frozen in my thoughts and emotions, and I just didn't understand at that moment what type of impact that would have later on. So I adorned this tree with her because she also brought decorations with it. I still have half of them. And I actually still have the box of the Christmas cards as well.
Yeah.
And it was really strange because I thought to myself, I said, I can't give these cards away. Even though the cards were meant to be given to others as a gift, I said, they're mine. This is a memory, and I don't want to give it to anybody. They're mine. Even I have 50 cards in a box that says somebody loved me when I couldn't love myself.
Uh-huh.
And so, though I didn't become the excellent academic that I should have been in high school because I was still battling, even though people can love you, you're still battling self-hate. You're still battling these things. But just like the river pushes through a rock and erodes, so was my callous heart. It doesn't erode it on impact, doesn't happen immediately. It takes time. It takes persistence. And the persistence that the program allowed, or that continued to do, allowed me to ruminate on these moments, to persevere against certain odds. If you can graduate high school with a child completely impoverished, I wasn't skinny in high school because I was this athletic person after having the child. I was skinny because I was hungry. You can persevere through hunger, through self-hate, then still learning finances, budgeting, emotion management, how to care for yourself. I mean, who knew that something happened when I was 16 years old? They said, here, get a massage. Get a massage, you deserve it. And guess what? I'm 34 years old, and damn it, I deserve a massage when I want one.
You do. You do.
I deserve that because I work hard. I deserve that moment to say, you did good. But had I not experienced that before, maybe I would have been that female that says, I'm going to give to everybody else and never to myself. I don't want to be a statistic. When I think about my grandmother, when I think about my mother and the opportunities that they did not have, it all boiled down to an education. Why did they stay in these abusive relationships? Why could they not get a car? Why did not speak English in the way that they should have? Did they understand it? Yes. But they didn't speak it enough to anybody because they didn't have an opportunity. And this is what it gave. It gave an opportunity to do something different.
Amen.
And not become a full statistic of a drug addict father and an impoverished mother. I should have been a prostitute drug addict on the street statistically because I started to calculate what are the odds of me actually surviving this without having a real full addiction. Very slim to none, had it not been for these interceding programs. I went to school and I left. After 2 semesters, I left to Florida, thinking I could finish a degree out there because I was still following my son's father. But something in me said, I'm better than this. I'm better than this. I'm better than this. And when I came back to Jersey, I came back full throttle. 21 credits, 3 part-time jobs with a child. I did not care because just like they told me, you can do this. You're beautiful. You have this. At 21, I said, I can do this. I'm beautiful and I have this. And I made sure my son understood the struggle of walking 4 miles I went at 21 years old, walking 4 miles in the snow without a coat, him wrapped up and warm, going to preschool. And all I could say was, I need an education. And I went to the college and nobody knew. No one knew. Because I put a smile on my face because you know what? At the end of the day, as long as I continued to move like that river, I was going to break that callous wall. Nobody knew. My son became, this past year, the captain of the track team, cross-country track. He graduated with honors. He has a scholarship from Montclair State University for language, culture, and business. He's also an Italian translator.
That's right.
Because education meant something to me, and it trickled down to him. Had I not learned these skills, where would I have been? Somewhere in between that, I became an assistant administrator at the community college. I also became a part-time academic advisor for Wilmington University. I endeavored into getting because I like getting extra jobs. I like meeting people. I love meeting people.
Right.
And had I not had that experience of knowing that I was cocooned in my shell and I hated everybody, maybe I would have been so personable. Maybe I wouldn't have looked at anybody, a student at the college, and said, no, you can do it. You got this. Come on, let's do it. What do you need? Let's do it. What papers do you need? We're going to get it now. That pushy personality would not have been there because a 15-year-old me was broken. A 15-year-old me said, I'm going to die at 18, and I might actually even kill my son because I'm rejected. And it almost happened. It really did. I had it ready, prepared. The self-loathe was real. And then I became a translator for speech and language pathologists, walking around with little kids and teaching them how to say things, and their parents had to understand it in Spanish. Just utilize what you have and make an impact on somebody else.
Amen.
So I'm working at this college, and I can't even tell you how many people I assisted, and I won't even be vain about it. But because I knew a broken me that could have been mended, I knew that there was somebody else out there that had a vision that needed to get something. And at all odds, whoever it was, I was going to assist them. It would have been different had I not had a program that told me that I'm worth it. I would have been in project housing, living on somebody's couch, dating, being with someone that does not care in an abusive, consistent relationship. For what? Because I hate myself? Because I'm not good enough? Absolutely not. I also assist in running a rehab program in Millville. There's a women's home, a men's home, and a mom and babes program. I am a preschool teacher at Upper Deerfield. I have a bachelor's degree in behavioral science and minor in psychology, a postgraduate certificate in communications disorders, P3, K6, and a TOSD, which is teacher of students with disabilities.
See, my girl.
An administrator at a college, as an academic advisor, and I also taught at a special ed self-contained 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Never stopped. And I also realized that the exponential theory of this is, because I didn't stop, I was able to touch others who in turn didn't stop.
Yeah.
Didn't stop academically, didn't stop with their lives, didn't stop anywhere. For 3 years, I was a caseworker for runaway, throwaway youth, finding 13, 14-year-old prostitutes on the streets, getting them off them streets. And the reason I became an educator was because I said, I got to find them younger. I got to find them younger. You got to find them younger. And the only way I was going to find them younger is if I became a teacher. So I said, forget it. If I can go through everything that I went through, I can change a career and become a teacher and be everything that they need me to be to get them to where they need to get to. So what happens is, with these programs that fall apart, just like what happened with the economic status of Camden, Burlington County, these programs that they start stripping away, just like what they do with the factories in Wisconsin. Let's just take away this. Let's take away that. Let's take away this. You're going to inverse exactly what happened. You have 20 years of people doing things and changing a society that has women and even men, because there are fathers to this program, okay, that have been a part of this, being able to excel and get and gain more. Now you're going to do the opposite. You're going to take away, and then in 20, 30 years, what you're going to see is the complete opposite of what we've been fighting for. Yeah. And you don't care. The government doesn't care. That all you're going to do is make us look like Camden 1997, Manhattan 1991. It's not fair.
No.
First has to increase their finances and budgets and everything else. Remember what you did 15, 20 years ago to take away exactly the opportunities that were necessary in order to prevent all of these things from happening.
Hi, girls.
My oldest son, I knew by the time he was in 7th grade, there was something. And if it wasn't for learning how to advocate for him, I don't think I would have excelled with him. Because by the time he was in 7th grade, I found out they had Asperger's and he was epileptic. And all this time in elementary school, we were going through it, meetings and counseling, and the elementary school pulled him out of the classroom illegally and put him in a self-contained classroom. And I had to advocate, I had to fight for my kid. And when we found out what it is, and I started researching and using my mouth, Impact taught me how to use my voice.
Yes.
How to use it. And that it's powerful. And that it can move things. And it's not just for me, it's for others. We are muted when we do things at 14, 15, 16 years old. One moment, we learn to mute ourselves in our pain. But they said, don't use it. Had it not been for that, I would have never gotten that IEP. He would have never excelled in school. He would have never gotten that scholarship. He would have never been in college right now in North Jersey. He would have been helping me pay my bills because I would have been so broke. No, he will not be that statistic, and neither will I.
Amen.
And I feel sorry for the next set of females that may not have that opportunity. It's a shame.